All right, everyone, thank you for joining us. So I'm gonna go ahead and call the January 22nd, 2025 City Council meeting to order. Mike Maynard, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Since you're here. Thank you. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Right. City Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Councilmember Douglas,
Present.
Councilmember Hilberg,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem McCully. Here. Mayor Loman.
Here.
And for the record, Councilmember Burris will be absent this evening.
Item 1D, can I get a motion to approve the agenda order?
I would like to recommend that we actually pull our item. What is the item number for the downtown seating area, just so that we actually have time to prepare proper drawings, statistics, all that good kind of stuff. We kind of tried to rush it a little bit, and I know the city manager nor myself has been able to put your full packet together that we would hope to have. So.
So you guys want to talk about the seating tonight? Well, it looks like we have a lot of people here.
It can be postponed, I think, unless people would like to speak about it ahead of time, but it's January. And we're talking about outside seating. So I don't see any urgency. So I'd be open to it, but again, I know we have some people here that would like to talk about it. So how would we handle that?
I mean, we could just do it under public comment, but I just, like I said, I feel we can give you a full presentation if we have a little bit more lead time, so. That's why I asked.
Oh, it looks like we got probably most of the people here to talk about the seating downtown. Yeah, okay. Okay. Then we'll go ahead and leave it on. That's fine. We'll go ahead and leave it on the agenda and we'll have discussion about it at the very least tonight. Great. All right. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda order?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Motion passed. All right. Item 1E, statement of conflict of interest. Anybody got a new conflict of interest coming up?
Change.
No, nothing. All right. Item 2, the consent calendar. All items on the consent calendar are considered routine in nature and will be approved in one blanket motion with a council vote unless a council member and or a member of the public requests an item be pulled from the consent discussion or for discussion. Items pulled will be addressed after council completes its consent calendar vote and will require a separate motion. Are there any items that anybody on the council would like to pull? Okay, I got a public, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No.
Okay, I got a public request to pull item 2D. So we'll go ahead and pull item 2D, sidewalk repair and maintenance liability ordinance, and we'll discuss that after we approve the rest of the consent calendar. Can I get a motion to approve the consent calendar minus 2D?
Motion to approve minus 2D.
Second. Anybody?
Second.
Okay, second by Kim. All
All
right.
right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great. All right, item 2D. Mike, would you like to talk about the sidewalk ordinance?
I made back for I have a few questions about the sidewalk ordinance. Apparently it hasn't been approved completely yet. Is that my understanding?
Right, it is just a consent item though, so we'll approve it tonight after discussion or not.
Well, I have a few questions about it. You talked about the maintenance part of it, falling on the homeowner. This adjacent to the sidewalk. My question is, does it need to be a legal sidewalk to begin with? And what's the difference between a walkway, a sidewalk, and an ADA sidewalk? Sidewalk in front of my house, I've got 104 feet of. And my understanding is the sidewalk is what would be in front of your property. The walkway would be like from your house to the sidewalk. Or across the sidewalk to the street. Now, am I responsible for cracks or snow removal if somebody slipped, or what is my responsibility? You're saying that things need to be repaired. And determined by the city inspector, I'm assuming, unless a tree causes roots to raise the sidewalk. My sidewalk, or a sidewalk, needs to be 36 inches wide if it's a walkway. 48 inches wide if it's a sidewalk. 5 feet if it's an ADA approved sidewalk. So the sidewalk in front of my house is 35 inches, so it's not even a legal walkway. And it's been there probably 100 years. So now am I responsible to maintain an illegal sidewalk? Or is the city gonna come in and make it legal? Or those are just some of the questions I have about it.
Well, I kind of wish I had the engineer here. It's my understanding that if your sidewalk was made 100 years ago, it's going to be a little small by today's standards. Until something major happens to it, then it doesn't have to be upgraded to legal code by today's standard. We're not looking to make anybody tear out a bunch of sidewalk and redo it anyways.
You already did once, I had to do my sewer because I wanted to put a roof on my house. I had to dig up the sidewalk, replace that,
To
$8,000.
to put in your sewer system to connect? Yeah.
Because I wanted to put a roof on my house.
Huh. Well, I can't speak to that. That was well before my time. Let's see. And then you ask your responsibility for maintaining a sidewalk. Did I understand that correctly?
That's my question.
Okay. So
What is my responsibility? Say,
Yeah.
Do I need to remove snow? So if somebody slips, I don't get sued or?
Right.
or
Connor's
what?
got
you got it?
ordinance pulled up.
You want to go ahead?
Sir, I would refer you to the ordinance, which is, I'm sorry, I would refer you to the ordinance, which is included in today's agenda packet. So it's going to answer some of these questions for you. So section 12.24.030, which is on the council's agenda to add to the municipal code tonight, describes an owner's duty to repair a defective sidewalk. Subdivision A says an owner shall maintain any sidewalk fronting the owner's lots or portion of a lot in accordance with the standards of repair. And then the owner shall repair any defective sidewalk fronting the owner's lot. So both of those terms are defined. There's a definition of standards of repair and there's a definition of defective sidewalk. So I would refer you to those definitions in the proposed amendment to the municipal code. And I think that's going to answer a lot of your questions.
That's a legal sidewalk, correct?
Again, I would refer you to the definitions in the municipal code.
I haven't seen the ordinance.
Do we have a copy of the agenda packet that we can provide?
Just to clarify, Connor, like the snow removal, he's not liable for snow removal on the sidewalk, I would imagine. Yes, no?
I'm not prepared to give a legal opinion on any one resident's liability. But I think the definitions in the ordinance before the council tonight do a good job of explaining what the owner's duty is and what the owner is required to prepare and when you will have notice of defects that you're required to prepare. So again, there's a specific subdivision of this ordinance titled owner's duty to repair a defective sidewalk. I would start there and I would cross-reference the definition section of the ordinance, which is going to give you a really good idea of what exactly the city's asking you to do.
The sidewalk in front of my house. I haven't seen the ordinance. I haven't seen the ordinance.
Um,
I haven't seen the ordinance. 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 I haven't s In fact, I saw a person on it today, that's the first time I've seen one in probably 20 years. Normally they walk down the road, it's on Fourth Street. The question is, if I'm liable for it, I'm gonna block it. So it can't be used. It's
Oh,
not a legal sidewalk.
Yeah. Good luck.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll get you a copy of the agenda packet so you can take a look at what exactly the city's proposing.
Yeah, it's hard to give a specific answer to your property because all the sidewalks were built at a different time to different standards and different designs. So it'd have to be on a case by case basis, which basically everything in this ordinance is written to be taken around a case by case basis.
I know, like the wall in front of my house, came from the quarry, it's right east on mine.
Right? So,
I think Amanda's printing that ordinance for you. If you want to wait
Yeah.
at the front door, she'll have a copy of it for you.
Sidewalk is there. Unless you do a major upgrade, we have to go.
All right.
You can't make people flip in the room.
any other public discussion for 2D?
I think a lot of it is gonna be. when we come to go fix it.
I missed the previous meeting where this was discussed, but I did read something now. And I have a specific question about the trees. It says that if I understand it right, it says that if the owner planted a tree and it's blocking the sidewalk, it's the owner's responsibility to repair. But if the city planted the tree, it's the city's responsibility. And so, since I have only owned our property for years, there is such a fee and it's older than that. I'm wondering, does the city have any records of when and where planted trees? And if not, in a case like this, how would it be determined who was responsible for the tree?
Well, again, I would like to refer everyone to the text of the ordinance, which describes the owner's duty of repair. As to trees, an owner shall repair any defective sidewalk fronting the owner's lot or portion of a lot or lots where a defective sidewalk is caused in whole or in part by tree roots. By a tree root or roots, the owner shall nevertheless have a duty to repair the sidewalk, and the director may grant permission to cut the roots after consulting an arborist. So that's what it has to say about the duty to repair damage from tree roots.
In the ordinance, discussion, anything, language like what I was saying about the ownership of the tree.
I'm not familiar with that section. Perhaps. Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Yeah, hi.
My name is Tracy Gibson, and I have some photographs I'd like to pass out to you. That's in front of me. I was born in 1983 of 21. And I grew up in Colfax. The first photograph on Canyon Bay has been continually unmaintained since I was a little white and white.
Sidewalk.
Yeah, sidewalk, yeah.
Sorry.
Sidewalk. So,
Yeah, we'll definitely, I think we've identified those areas already, so we'll be doing what we can to get working on that. There's a lot of deferred maintenance and stuff, and we don't want to stick the property owners with it immediately, so we're trying to come up with a plan to do some of this work and help the property owners out too. Right. Yeah, and it's still a private property owner. There's still, somebody owns that property, so we'll be working with them to try and clean up some of the sidewalk. There's a lot out there that needs to be redone and a lot that wasn't ever done properly, well, to current code. So. Yeah, at least, there's plenty of sidewalks that have been around since the 50s and 60s and stuff, so. Thank you. All right, is there any other public comment on 2D? No, all right. Can I get a motion?
I'll move to approve 2D.
Okay. Anybody second?
We're not going to discuss it.
No.
Do we want to discuss it? I got, sorry, my bad,
Absolutely.
please.
One of the things that Trinity, who's not here tonight, brought up in the last meeting was that there should be a differentiation if it's a city-owned tree rather than a personally owned tree. You know, that's in our minutes. And we didn't make any changes to the ordinance. So it's as if it was ignored. And so I think there is a difference as to whether it's a city-owned tree or a person's tree. But if I read the ordinance, it says, an owner shall repair any defective sidewalk fronting the owner's lot, lots, or portion of a lot, where a defective sidewalk is caused in whole or in part by a tree root or roots. The owner shall nevertheless have the duty to repair the sidewalk. And it's something that we had brought up. I guess I was expecting a change. And I don't see one. I mean, if we look in our minutes, it's one of the last items mentioned under 5A, under the public hearing.
My understanding on public trees is if you picture the sidewalk, you've got the house, the sidewalk, and then there may be another planting strip on the outside of that sidewalk. I think those trees are usually ones that the city has done and the city takes care of those. So anything that's on the inside of the sidewalk would be the homeowner's
I
side of it.
would agree with
And the
that,
trees.
but that's not what our ordinance says. Our ordinance says the owner shall nevertheless have the responsibility to fix it. It makes no differentiation. So that's the point I want to make. I think that's a little bit unfair. It says the city's property and that, yeah. So that's my humble opinion for what it's worth. I think we should have a little more consideration for the people that live here. And if our trees or our equipment or anything like that damages the sidewalk, we should fix it.
I mean, I think all of it is written so that everything's up for discussion and negotiation. So would that not be adequate enough that it falls under there
No,
for
I
you?
would like to specify the, if it's a tree, whose tree is it? I would like that to be out there. I would hate to have to discuss that every time somebody had a sidewalk problem.
Well, it wouldn't come before us. It would be a conversation with them and staff. I would imagine.
That's true. I would expect the city to manage that issue.
Mhm.
So we could differentiate, but we didn't. That's my point.
So are you proposing that we bring it back and have Kathy edit it again for a,
To
include that?
Yeah, I think
is that
so.
your?
Yes.
Specific staff direction, maybe it
Yes.
didn't get directed.
Any-
Yeah,
'Cause I don't
saw
remember-
that in the last
And I would
draft.
add to that the city's responsibility because it could happen from plowing or who knows, right? But yeah, I would, if it's a city-owned tree, then I think that the city should fix the sidewalk.
Well, then I'd say we could make a motion to just take it back to Kathy and have her double check that and see if it's in there if we need to.
I think maybe that's what the state law says, but I'm not sure. I think our ordinance. Excuse me, I haven't read the state law carefully. The state law might already say this in one way or the other. I just don't know. So we can't make a local ordinance that contradicts state law, I don't think. I'd like to, but we can't. So yeah, I would like to see us take that back to Kathy. And again, I don't see any urgency in this particular issue. It's always nice to get them behind us and deal with them as they come up. But I think in this case, we should delay it and work that out. What sort of wording is needed? That's my opinion.
Counteract some of the price staff correction.
We're gonna pull this item and bring it back to Kathy and include the differentiation that I could have sworn I saw in a draft, between privately owned trees and city owned trees. And that was it, right? Just want to add that.
I think what Trinity brought up, and I expected to see it in here, is that any sidewalks that have damage due to city property, i.e. trees, workers, etc.
I think that might be in here, that provision. Give me a second. Let me see if I can find it for you.
I'm not seeing it, but if it is, I apologize. I didn't see it in the ordinance itself. I think the ordinance is pretty straightforward. It just says the owner will fix it.
Connor's gonna look for it.
We'll
bring it back.
Okay. We'll put this item on
Connor's the
hold.
guy.
And we'll give Connor some time to look it up, and we will go ahead and move on to item 3, agency reports. Washington County Sheriff.
Good evening, everyone. How are you doing? It's Sergeant Williams with
How
the
are you?
Washington County Sheriff's Office. Nothing new from a couple of weeks ago in terms of statistics. There are 2 calls that I do want to bring up and just kind of give a shout out to Deputy Adams. She works day shift between Sundays and Wednesdays. We've been paying a lot of attention to Carpenter Road and some of the trash and whatnot that's down in that area. We're doing a lot of extra patrols down there. She managed to come across 2 people out of the Nevada County area who had some outstanding warrants, as well as an illegal firearm. So she's doing a great job patrolling that area and getting to 2 folks to answer up for past crimes and got a gun off the streets. The second call, I just wanted to clarify, I was made aware of a post that was made on Sunday regarding an attempted break-in at the pharmacy. If anybody had read that post is inaccurate. And yes, there were subjects parking inside behind the pharmacy, but there was no attempted break-in. I spoke to the owners, the managers of the pharmacy, and asked if there were any kind of attempts, broken glass, anything tampered with, and that was not the case. It kind of embellishes a little bit of the response time as well as the time that the call came in. So we did have an extended time, but that was due to exigent call for service that the Colfax car had to take care of. But the good news is that there was no attempted break-in into the pharmacy. And I'm not sure where the stalking of women came from in that post, but we have not had any calls for service in since I've been here, the last couple of months in regards to anybody stalking women in the dark. So I just want to make sure that if anybody has any questions or comments about that, I'd be happy to try to answer them or entertain them. Otherwise, everything's good with the pharmacy.
I'm really let down. I thought everything on Facebook was true.
FBO, a Facebook official, is not, yes. So other than that, I don't have anything new to share.
Great. Thank you very much for your report.
Thank you.
All right, CHP.
Good evening, everybody. Officer Jason Lyman, California Highway Patrol, Gold Run Area Public Information Officer. I did all my statistics last time. I don't really have anything else to add on that. We've had such wonderful weather for the last few weeks. There's not been a lot of major incidents going on. I guess there's a little chance of maybe some rain Saturday, but it's looking less and less all the time. Does anybody have any questions for me?
I just want to make a comment that I've been going up and down I-80 a lot more lately than I have been. And I'm seeing more highway patrol cars out there. So that's a good thing because especially from Applegate down to gets pretty scary.
Yes, we actually have added a couple to our office in the last couple of months. So that has helped our numbers out considerably on having more people on patrol. And so we're trying to be out there as much as possible. And it has improved with our, increased numbers to our office. All right. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Cal Fire.
Good evening, Clint Seaver, Battalion Chief, Placer County Fire, Cal Fire. For us, our local unit has sent out 12 engines. They're still down south. They've been there for just about 21 days now. And they most likely will be there for at least another week due to the new fire that just started tonight. We are fully staffed behind them. So Colfax does have the 2 engines, and the state has approved us to hire an additional 5 engines for the local unit. So we have those staffed starting on the 27th, which is new. We never had that before. Locally, we have had 3 vegetation fires, small, they're all under an acre. And we have had quite a few hot breaks calls to the freeway with truckers coming down the hill. Other than that, send a report. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. Any nonprofits tonight? Aaron.
Hi, my name is Erin Newington. I'm representing the historic Colfax Downtown Association. I just wanted to invite you all, if you haven't seen this on Facebook or around town. We're having a meeting on the 29th at the Sierra Vista Community Center. And the goal is to bring together residents, business owners, nonprofit organizations to have a unified calendar for the city and brainstorm ideas on how we can bring more activity downtown. So we'd love to have you with us, and the flyers are right there on the tape.
Thank you. I was hoping you were going to talk a little bit longer. I took a bite at it.
What you're chewing.
Go
I
back to.
we're back to
Okay.
2D here. I did skim through the ordinance, Councilmember Hilberg, and the provision I was thinking of was the indemnification clause, which doesn't impose liability on owners for city-caused damage, but that doesn't cover the duty to repair. So you're right that there's no exemption to the duty of repair for city-caused damage. I will also point out that where is it? The payment provisions, the payment for repairs is very broadly worded to give the director discretion when to impose the full cost of repair on the property owner. So those are the 2 things I felt it worth pointing out in my brief review here.
And there was something I forgot to bring up, but that item that I read was 12.24.030.b. But I'm wondering if an owner is faced with the city coming in to do the repair at prevailing wage. Is that a number we can give the owner ahead of time so they can make a comparison? Is that reasonable?
If we hire a contractor.
Yeah, if the city did the work.
Give them something to compare to. Is if I do this, here's how much it is. And if the city does it, here's how much it's going to cost me because I'm the one with the sidewalk.
I would have to take a quick look at the notice provision to see what's specified in the required notice, but there's absolutely no reason why city staff couldn't work with the property owner to provide some
Yeah.
estimate along those lines.
Yeah, I would like to see them have a choice between costs.
Well, I mean, they do, but they do have a choice between the cost and the city manager would absolutely say, if we have to come do it because you're choosing not to, this is what you're looking at, Bill, because we do have to pay prevailing wage and stuff. So that would be part of that conversation with them. It's not just, we're gonna do it and slap you. a bill.
That's what I'm asking for.
Yeah, well, I mean, that would be part of the conversation to be had, absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't think we have to outline quite every single baby step in it. It's just automatically part of that conversation as to getting it done.
So Councilmember Hilberg, the contents of the notice to repair are at 12.24.090, if you'd like to take a look.
12.24-030, yeah.
090.
It's pretty explicit, you know, when it uses the word shall, I think that was the word. Shall has meaning.
Yes.
Anyway, I'm gonna drop it for now, as
Okay.
long as Kathy takes a look at it.
And to be clear here, the direction to staff is to add a provision distinguishing between city-owned trees and property owner-owned trees. That's the current direction from the council?
Yes, that's part of it. And the other part would be if the damage was caused by the city. And that's rare, I think, but they might run a plow over the curb or something. It's hard to say. And then in respect for one of our speakers tonight, we have a whole lot of sidewalks on those photos that need some serious repair. And I think some of them are on Caltrans controlled streets. I'm not sure about that last part. But those sidewalks look pretty bad.
I mean, two of them are driveways to either businesses or residences. Which one do you think was Caltrans?
Pardon?
Which one did you think was Caltrans?
I thought there was one on Auburn Street, isn't that?
That's the driveway one, and just because, the Canyon Way one on that side.
That's Caltrans.
That's ours, because it's up right at the Chevron. See that? Yeah, no, they're also doing.
Yeah, they're all in the city.
Okay,
Caltrans gets to make some decisions on what signage goes there and some things we can do to them, but they're not doing the repair.
thank you.
All right. Direction clear as mud.
Yes, Mr.
Excellent.
Mayor.
right.
We've got our direction here, I think.
All right.
Thank you. All right. Item 2D has been pulled. Item 4, we have a presentation tonight. Mark Hall will be talking about Plaza Rides. Mark, would you like to come to the podium? Thank you for joining us tonight.
Good evening, all, including all of you, because I'm addressing all of you as well. Sean, Councilmember Sean, this would be a great time to nourish yourself because I'll be speaking a little longer.
Everybody else can have cookies too. They're oatmeal and cinnamon and raisins.
They're really good.
Again, I'm Mark Hall with Seniors First in Auburn, a nonprofit. We provide lots of services for seniors. I'm sure most of you are aware of Meals on Wheels. Been around a long time. That's our one of our flagship programs. And very recently, we were asked by the County Transit Authority to administer an alternative transportation assistance program serving needy people, people who can't drive anymore, who have disabilities. Public transportation doesn't work for them, especially up in rural areas here where public transportation is almost non-existent to the areas where you need to get to a doctor's appointment or grocery shopping, et cetera. So my goal tonight is to basically give some context on how this program works. And in looking around the room, I bet there are at least 3 or 4 of you that could use this right now, if not for yourself, for a loved one. So to share that with you, and essentially, we are our market for this program, as I mentioned, was people of unmet need transportation. people who are 60 and over. And by the way, I think in Placer County, that amounts to at least 21, 22% of the population, 400 and some odd thousand. So very large. Moi, one of them. And there would be people with disabilities who just can't use public transportation. It just doesn't work for them. A lot of public transportation is a fixed route. Someone hops on, if they can even get to a bus stop, they hop on a bus, they take it to the end, but they're using a walker or cognitive issues. And they have to get to the store 3 blocks away and cross very busy intersections. No bueno, doesn't work. So and the third bucket, so we have seniors, we have people with disabilities that we serve with this program, and also low income. So who can afford an Uber? I don't even think Uber comes up this way, but even if it did, Ubers are expensive. Rideshare programs are costly, and a lot of people are on fixed incomes, SSI only, and just getting by. So there's this very large population of people who just can't get to their medical appointments, who can't get to the grocery store, who can't get to the airport if they wanted to. So the county came to us with a program, since we were sort of quasi in the transportation business with Meals on Wheels, they asked us to administer it. And the hallmarks of this program are essentially someone who is unable to drive. I've been with Seniors First for 2 months. For the first time in my 65 years, I started to think about what would it be like to not be able to drive, to hand the keys over finally to the kids. I can't drive. And that's pretty sobering. Loss of independence, loss of spontaneity. Every 2 weeks, my wife says, it's always at nighttime. She said, Mark, go get some goat milk. I need it for my coffee in the morning. I don't even give it a second thought about hopping in the car and going to Holiday Market to get the goat milk. If I can't drive, and if I isolate somewhere in an apartment, and I don't have a social network, the simplest things like that affect. And the market and the number of people in this county is growing by leaps and bounds, with 10,000 people a day turning 65. I think 5,000 more moving to Sacramento Valley. I'm amazed at how many assisted living centers and memory care centers there are in Roseville alone. It seems like there are new ones being built all the time. So the way the program works, and it's not perfect, but none of our public transportation options are perfect. The way the program works is it's a mileage reimbursement program. So you can't drive, you're a senior, or you have a disability of some kind, or you're low income. So you have to have a volunteer driver. We do not provide drivers. That was called out by the county because they don't want to step over the liability line. So you have to have a volunteer driver, but we will reimburse that volunteer driver 70 cents per mile. That's the IRS standard reimbursement for 2025. And each user of the program who is a rider gets 200 miles reimbursed a month. So part of my plea tonight is to let you know it's available, but also I'm always looking for potential drivers. Now, I can't endorse them. The relationship between the rider and the driver is up to them. If the rider wants to vet the driver, do you have current insurance? Do you have a driver's license? It's up to them. I can't do that, but I have a little black book figuratively in my back pocket, and I'm always looking for people, seniors helping seniors, and people with a big heart that are willing to help drive people to their essential needs, medical appointments, or essential need visits, shopping, beauty salon. Not so much for me, but for many people, beauty salon would be an essential need. Councilmember Caroline. Do you ever drive a parent or anybody like that on a, you do? Sign up tonight, okay? Because you would be a driver, your parent would be a user, a rider. It's so simple. Or you're not. All right, we're moving on from anybody in the group here. Does anyone drive a parent or something to an appointment or to the airport because they don't drive? Anyone? All right, I'm going to go
We do.
find another city council group that I can speak to.
It's all right.
Well, you get the point though, right?
For somebody else, but not my mother.
I'll do it for you.
Okay. I'm difficult, meet my mother.
So I was up at Canyon View up here, right? The senior apartment complex today. I was up there and I was sharing it with a dozen people up there. And one of the gals looked at me and said, so my brother, who's in this walker right here, if his brother-in-law, who already takes him to Roseville all the time, I mean, would that qualify? Absolutely. 70 cents a mile. Now, unlike some Arrow, Auburn On Demand, Dial-A-Ride, there are a lot of these, paid transportation services available, but they all have geographical boundaries. Ours does not. So if someone needed to go to see a specialist, let's say an ophthalmologist at UCSF, and they had someone who could take them, 72 cents a mile, 200 miles a month, that trip could be mightily paid out to the driver. So what lacks here is I wish I had drivers, because so many people want to use this and need it badly, but I can't provide drivers. So people have to have some sort of social network, family member, friend, church member, neighbor, somebody that would drive them. But it's a perfect last resort option because it's free transportation. Actually, you get paid. So it's even better than free. So how it works is there's a log that gets filled out, trip log. And they put down the purpose of the trip and where they went, where they stopped. We went to Roseville to see a doctor. And then they said, oh, I want to go to Costco. Okay, that's another leg of the trip. And then brought back home. They log in that information. And at the end of the month, they provide us with the log. We Google map it just to make sure the miles are right that they wrote down. And then we reimburse the rider because the rider's our client, not the driver. And then the rider would pay the driver. And in most cases, they're people they know. It's not we're talking friends, neighbors, family members, people they know are the drivers. We like to say that use our program, you get to drive when you want, where you want, and with whom you want to drive you. It's a great program. Yet when we started this a year ago, and I came on 2 months ago, I like to say we started it at midnight because no one knows about it until 2 months ago when I started to go out to all these meetings in Chamber of Commerce and assisted living centers and back meetings and letting people know there's money available. So I wish that tonight you can grasp this in some sort of conceptual way. You'll probably have coffee at the coffee shop at some point and overhear a conversation. I did just the other day. It was at a running shoe store in Auburn, and a young daughter and her mom was barely walking, and I asked the daughter, so do you drive your mom a lot of places? She said, yeah. So I gave her my card. I said, call me sometime because we're going to reimburse you 70 cents a mile because you're doing this anyway. Are there any questions? Yes. No, that was 2024. I didn't update you with the 2025 amount, so it went up to 70 cents. It's when we receive the log. It's at the end of the month. And then we either issue by check or direct deposit. No. But it is available. We're funded right now through 2027. And with the market and the need that is there, as the word gets out, I'm sure that we're going to get extended. There's just absolutely there's nothing in my mind that they would cut the funding for this.
I have a couple questions for you.
Yes.
Sir. You had mentioned that they could go to the airport as well. And in your details on service areas, it says you have to start and end in Placer County, but of course you can still go to the hospitals or doctor's appointments, but it doesn't specify the airport in there.
Yeah, what are eligible trips, just like there's an eligibility requirement to who can enroll, there are eligible trips. And it's loosely defined.
Okay.
But medical for sure.
Okay.
Essential needs.
So they can basically request that alternate location other than what you have listed
Oh,
here.
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Can we get an updated flyer with the 70 cents, which was one of the notes that I made? And then do you have separate marketing pieces, one for drivers and one for the actual users of it as well, so that we can have those in the office or in other locations?
On that chair right there, I have the
Okay.
full application packet for driver and rider.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
If you can make sure to leave them with the city clerk
Yes.
so we can have some. Thank
I
you.
will. Yes.
Like I know my mom uses Arrow. Would she be able to use the service as well with the staff?
Well, mom would enroll with us. Arrow would not be someone that would be reimbursed. It would be a volunteer, a friend of hers. Now, if you had two people in the car who were enrolled and you're the driver, 2 times 70 cents per mile. So up here, the transportation options are so limited. So limited. And this is just like, to me, it's a perfect opportunity, but it does take a little head scratching. Okay, who can I find to help transport me? And then it makes perfect sense if somebody's willing to do that, they're going to get paid to do it.
Just would make a comment. 7 years is a long time. And you say you're funded for 7 years. That funding, where does that come from? Placer County?
It comes from Placer County.
Because that could be a lot of money. And especially for those of us up here, the trips aren't going to be 4 miles round trip or anything. Many of them are going to exhaust those 200-mile limits pretty quickly. But you believe you're adequately funded.
Yes. And Larry, let me just give you, so we've been doing this for a year now, last month. Now you think of that population base of people who don't drive and need help getting from point A to point B. We reimbursed 67 users last month. That's it.
Well, your work is going to change that.
It better.
Yeah.
If I can keep my job, absolutely.
Well, they need to increase the funding because now they have you.
Well, we are going to be negotiating that for sure. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you so much. All right. Item 5, we don't have any public hearings tonight, so we'll move on to item 6, public comment. Public comment is so every resident has their opportunity to address city council to make comments. you may speak to the council on items that are not on the agenda. The council cannot act on these items tonight. However, we can refer them to staff and add them to an agenda later. If you have anything you'd like to address council with, please come up to the podium now. Each speaker has 5 minutes. Any public comment? No? All right, no public comment. That was quick. Okay, we'll move on. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Oh, cool. Hi, Trinity.
Hey, everybody. Hey, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, I just wanted to just make a note that I am here, I'm listening, I'm participating as a member of the public tonight. I do apologize. Unfortunately, I did get dispatched to the EOC at work and was not able to provide enough notice to publicly notice my location and participate as a council member. So I will comment on items as we go, just to, again, as a member of the public, and thank you guys for being patient and flexible with me.
It happens. I had to do that last week. I just didn't comment. All right. Any other public comment? Anything else? Nope. All right. Perfect. Move on to item 7, council and staff reports. Kim?
I had no official meetings, but I attended the Auburn City Council meeting. And the reason that was of interest to me is they had a presentation by Jonathan Wright, and he's the Community Economic Development Director. And the discussion was why they need a way to regulate vacancies in commercial buildings. So most of the council was in favor of drawing up an ordinance, and they discussed it, and they're going to come back and refine it. And I thought that was timely because we might consider doing something like that here. And if Auburn perfects their ordinance, we could maybe, duplicate that and modify it for our needs. But we'll let them do all the hard work, and then we can review it when they're done and consider whether we want to do a similar ordinance to what they're preparing right now. And that was it. Thank you.
Larry?
I have nothing.
All right. Great. Caroline?
What was on the calendar? It's a good reason we keep these things here, right?
Yeah.
Let's see, in the last 2 weeks, we did have one of the Heritage Park meetings. Larry, you were there too, right? Did we both go to that? Yeah, so we both did that one. A couple of weeks ago, I had a first SACOG meeting of the year was last week. And like I said, everybody's on edge as to what's going to happen with budgets like crazy right now with the state. It's very interesting to watch them freak out a little bit. And other than that, lots of little tiny meetings here and there. And I went to the Lyons Crab Feed, was very well attended. Everybody looked like they were having a great time. And I think that was about it. Yeah, it was the first one I'd ever gone to. I'd never gone to a crab feed before. That's good. Always bring extra butter.
Yes.
Yep, I had lots.
Right. Let's see. Is that Thursday? I had the Pioneer meeting. We voted on a rate adjustment to keep Placer County residents saving over PG&E. Barely saving, but we're saving still. Western, we also got a presentation regarding potential biomass facility that Pioneer is working with Western Placer Waste Management Authority on. It's supposed to go down by the Recology landfill in Lincoln and provide Pioneer customers with biomass-based energy. I think we're supposed to have a fire safety council meeting tomorrow night here in the council chambers at 6 o'clock. So hope to see everybody there. That's all I have. Ron?
Okay, I registered for Cap to travel to Washington, DC. So every year, the Capital Program secures funding and resources for high priority projects in California Capital Region. Kathy, our city planner, is continuing to work up, but she's just about finished with the historic inventory. City staff continues to fill potholes everywhere. They're also continuing to clear the debris in storm drains left over from the last large rain. And if you look over across from the library there, they've cleaned off the hill, limbed up and cleared the vegetation along that part of Main Street. So that looks very nice over there. Hats off to them. And city staff and council are just about to complete the scoring of the environmental historical preservation review and programming management for the home hardening phase. So that should be done very soon. Thank you.
Great. I'll move on to item 8, council business. First item on council business tonight is the 2025 council committee assignments. Did you guys get a chance to look those over? I didn't change anybody but Trinity around. She was the only one I could talk to, and I knew she had the biggest time constraints. So I thought it was the best idea to get her where she wanted to be.
I know I would like to just stay where I am.
Okay.
Those assignments that I have, unless somebody has a burning desire to take on one of them. I was disappointed this month because the Economic Development Board of Placer County couldn't come up with a quorum. So that was kind of disappointing, but I think there's hope for us there in that group. And it's not just a committee, it's a board of directors, so we can have a real influence there. So I'd like to stay where I am if that's okay with everybody.
I think the biggest changes were moving Caroline to primary on SACOG.
Technically, we already did that.
Okay, yeah. So making it official. Putting me on LAFCO. I think those were the big changes.
I wanted to ask, we've got
And
the,
Shady Glen Sewer.
okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
You've got the youth commission section and the two different ones, the youth commission selection committee and the Colfax Youth Commission. I would love to see that stuff actually be used again and bring the kids in a little bit more. So, I mean, I know Larry and Kim are on that commission, but I don't know if you guys have done anything with them. So I would love to be able to bring in the schools and the kids a little bit more, if that's something you guys would be willing to actually move on that and find a way to get it in there. Get these kids a little bit more invested and educated. It was really fun to have the Boy Scout in here today asking those questions. So love to see that done if you guys can.
I didn't say that.
That's right. I don't know either. Well, you can put it in good to the order.
I'm good.
We're just good.
Can I get a motion to, oh, sorry, wait, no. Do we have any public comment on our committee assignments? No? Nothing online? No? No, Trinity? Okay.
Then I'll make a motion to approve the committee appointments as you have them adjusted.
All right. Can I get a second? All right. Thank you, Kim. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. All right. All set. Unanimous. Okay. Item 8B, discuss the temporary improvements for final consideration prior to beginning installation of long-term outdoor dining area, North Main Street. Discuss and give direction. So we're going to go ahead and have a discussion about this. We may or may not take action on it, but at least since everybody showed up tonight, we wanted to make sure you guys all got a chance to comment on it. So thank you for coming tonight to talk about this item. It's great to see people here and being involved. All right.
Well, Ron, do you want to start with your
Yep.
summary? Oh, hold on. I have to officially recuse myself at this point, so, because obviously I'm well involved with this with the grant, so I get to come out and hang out with you guys, so I will be good at move now. There you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Sit on your side.
Okay, so what little history I can find on this, during the COVID pandemic, there were actually 2 outdoor dining areas were put in place because the ban on indoor dining. One was located outside the railhead, the other was located in front of Grandma C's. The area in front of the railhead had been removed, but the outdoor dining area in front of the business formerly known as Grandma C's, now the location of Snapdragon Provisions and Bloomin' Mountain Flower Shop, remains and is in need of a complete makeover. During the 2024 budget meeting, the city council allocated $25,000 for renovations for the project, with the understanding that the outdoor dining area is a long-term temporary solution until the city can find money for the downtown connectivity plan. Railroad Days, a local nonprofit operated by Councilmember McCauley, was successful in obtaining another $10,000 grant from UP to help rehabilitate the remaining outdoor dining area. Tonight, the city council will listen to business and community members' input and maybe or maybe not approve a plan.
Go after it? Okay. All right, we will go ahead and take public comment on this item. Everybody gets 5 minutes apiece, and keep it on topic. Please, go ahead.
Hi,
Hello.
Chris McNabb with Bloomin' Mountain Flowers. And I want to thank, first of all, the council members, everyone for all of their action on this over the past few weeks. It feels like it's going to take shape eventually. So that's good. I think my original comment was a little misunderstood. I had included in there that, yes, I understand we do need a seating area in Colfax. No, I did not want it completely removed. I just wanted it slid down away from the front of our store. That's all. So I understand. And I understand also that the project is going to take a little bit of time. And looking at some of the plans and all that, I think it's going to take a little bit more discussion. And I understand one of the business owners has not been involved looking at the letters. And so I think that's important too. But I'd like to thank council for everything that they've done over the past few weeks in addressing this issue. It's been huge. At least something's moving. So thank you all very much. And yeah, I look forward to continuing to work on this. You guys have anything else?
All right, thank you so much.
Whatever you want.
Hello, I'm Tammy Hampshire with Foothill Properties, but I also am the owner of 38 North Main Street. And I too am super excited and really am pleased with all the action from the city council and the conversations about shifting and making the downtown, much more aesthetically pleasing to the eye. That area that's in front of my building definitely has lacked maintenance and care, and I've even cleaned it up a couple times. So I'm super excited about it. Now, I know that they did a quick hand-drawn rendition of what we all talked about. We met with Trinity and Caroline at the building, and sounds like there needs to be more discussion on design, because from what we talked about, there's going to be a loading zone in the first parking space next to the flower bed. And then there's another full parking space, which is going to have a flower bed blocking it so nobody can park. And then it looked like that the third parking space was going to encompass, the fence line was going to go kind of a quarter into that. From this drawing, it kind of seems off from what we were talking about. So I'm not sure what the process is that we should go. Yeah. Yeah. Because what it looks like now is that there's 30 feet for the pizza place, 30 feet for the wrecking crew, and then 15 feet for my building. And then that 10-foot is the loading zone. And then the other one is then there's 5 feet if they wanted to put a few little tables out there, which is definitely part of the plan. So it just seems a little imbalanced, which it seems like it could be more even, and it could kind of be equal for everybody. So So yeah, I'll look forward to having that conversation and seeing more of an official design plan. But again, thank you. This is going to be it's really exciting to have something really nice out there for the city of Colfax.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we're definitely going to try and get working on it. Any other?
She brought up my quick pencil drawings. What with this? Okay. So quick background, we started this last fall after Railroad Days was done when we were given the grant, and we had multiple meetings with different business owners downtown, talked to lots of them, had a couple group meetings to kind of brainstorm ideas. We included the Garden Club. I probably should tell you who I am officially, huh? Should back up. Caroline Micoli, Colfax Railroad Days. Changed my hat, sorry. But we did have multiple conversations. Lots of the business owners were invited to participate in addition to our garden club, our engineer, and our city manager. This took me a while to find in my files that you guys have. This is what we gave you the first time we came in front of the council in regards to it. These were basically the ideas and the pieces we were looking at putting together. Originally, we thought we were working with a much smaller budget, so it literally was going to be in the same footprint that it is right now. We were just going to include the black iron fencing, much nicer tables, heavy planters that we were going to use for a little bit on the barricades and some security measures in there that the garden club was going to pick and choose what they wanted to have in there. And then budget, in a perfect world, I'm going to have lights on the fencing, and we wanted to have shade sails. That way they could be up during the spring and the summer and easily to drop. But of course, the only thing that has been ordered to date is the handicap ramp that we needed. We went through a long time where we thought we were going to have to cut into the sidewalk and do all this extra stuff. Unfortunately, we didn't. We were able to order just a handicap ramp that bolts onto the sidewalk. So that is actually already at the courtyard. It's sitting there, and I did not order the tables because I was having a really hard time with the budget, with what I thought we had going. This is what we really want, is the nice metal tables. They're going to last a long time. Budget constraints didn't allow for that. So I was hemming and hawing, and then found out, by golly, that budget was not what I thought it was. So when you increase my budget by 64%, we can do everything in one shot. Now, with that came the change in designs and playing with it. So that first, like I said, they're lousy drawings. I'm sorry. Trinity thought she was going to be able to get something nicer for us. Mr. Fatula was going to be able to do it, and then he didn't have it on the short notice. And this is where why I had tried to meet with you guys, because what Trinity and Ron and I discussed, I fear wasn't the same conversation that how you guys understood it. And this first scribble drawing is what it was, because it was actually 2 spaces now instead of 1 on either side of the planters. And the idea was that they were going to mirror each other. And it provided one of the parking spot right next to the planter on either side, which we were going to label as a loading zone. And then a little bit more space, which the way it was originally in the meeting with Ron and Trinity and I, was half of that space would be blocked off by a planter, but that would allow for the loading area if needs be. If somebody was in a wheelchair, that's enough room for them to get in the car. And we were going to be putting a gate into the dining area so they could get to that ramp directly up to the businesses on the sidewalk. So that's what the conversation was with Trinity and Ron and I, was this 1.5 spaces. I can't speak for how, Trinity had explained it to you guys, but that's what the original one was.
Yeah.
So, and then when I was throwing this together, this is actually one of the ideas that was originally discussed that at the time the budget would not allow for. And that is just encompassing the whole thing and actually taking that planter out and making it so it was literally 3 spaces on one side, 3 spaces on another. That planter goes away. You have one big area. The whole idea from the beginning was, this is my space and this is your space. This is the community space, and everybody can use it. It doesn't matter what business they're with, who they've gotten their food from, or if they're just there to, I take the homeschoolers there and we play board games there all the time. So it's not set to be, here's your space and here's yours and here's yours. This is the community space. So if with the budget we have now, we could afford to take this planter out and repave over the top of it, fill it in, and just do one whole space. And then it would do the same thing. We'd have the tables and the shade structures and everything like that. And in actuality, this would be the most cost-effective way to do it, I believe. We still haven't been able to do the final numbers because we had to rush through it. But none of these, of course, are set in stone. Now that we have an adjusted budget, we get to get a little bit more fine-tuned with it. But we have the flexibility. You know, I will meet with anybody who wants to brainstorm ideas, but we do have a budget to stick with, and it is an entire community space. It is not a yours, mine, and ours type thing. Everybody can use it. Who cares where you've been? Who cares where you live? Who cares what business you've been in? Everybody can hang out with it. So that's it.
Yeah, no, please.
Well.
Okay, we'll get there.
So you mentioned the whole community space, but ultimately, if there's 30 feet of space in front of the wrecking crew, 30 feet of space in front of the pizza place, that's not community space. That's not identifying it. Oh, it's a community space. And maybe anybody can come take their sandwich to the pharmacy or whatever. But when you go to Grass Valley and Nevada City, everybody has their own space. And I think, you know, everybody has their own branding. The whole pizza parlor, the pizza has beer and wine, the wrecking crew has their brand, and then, you know, Snapdragon has theirs. So a whole community space doesn't seem, you know, as workable. And that's not what we were originally, you know, told. So I know that it's still in the design stage, and I appreciate the, you know, ability to communicate, but I think that, you know, yeah, I'm not down for the whole, you know, community space and take out the planter and all that. I think that there's another solution that could, you know, put equal spaces and everybody can have kind of their own space. So that's my input.
Thank you. What? Yes, she does. Was there anybody else in the public? We'll get her. We'll get it online after the in-person.
I think that the community space is really important. As I mentioned, when I did a lot of research on downtown associations and how to turn around and add more vibrancy to downtown spaces, the gathering spaces were super important. I think that we're not as big as Mill Street personally. I think that when you start having one little section for each person, then we start getting into squabbling over whose is it and whose is not. Just giving my opinion. And I think that keeping it a big, broader space, because it's not just the 3 businesses that it's in front of, it's the whole Main Street. And so I would just say, that's my perspective.
Thank you. Any other in-person public comment? Charlie?
Hello. For the community space, who's gonna clean that up? So you want Subway to come eat a sandwich there, and then you want me to pay my staff to go clean it up so it's tidy out front of the store. So how does that work?
Cool.
That's not, I'm trying to answer that question necessarily.
I think it's gonna have to be hashed out. I mean, that's part of building this space to make it what everybody wants to see. And trying to make sure that everybody gets what they would like to see out of it, so.
Teacher, whose time, what day, which, you know, group would be the ones to take care of it as a proposal that had been made.
Okay, well, I'm just saying that's a big thing, like keeping it clean out front of a store. And then paying people to clean up after that when it's open to, anybody can go have a sandwich or leave their trash. And then we have to clean up after it.
It's that way right now. Too. It's everybody uses that space for whatever they want right now. It's
And they
space.
leave their things and then, you know, we run out there and check on it. And I think
community
that's
effort and putting it and keeping it clean, right? It's not just you guys cleaning it. The employees of the pizza place and the wrecking crew are out there cleaning stuff up too.
I do feel there's more of an urgency since it's directly in front of our store that people think it's a reflection of us.
I think making it that big community space would help that too. Making it so that way it's tying in all those businesses along there and it's everybody, it shows more of everybody's responsibility. The city can do more, you know, morning help and stuff like that with getting stuff cleaned up, doing a run through, whatever, since we're taking responsibility for the space. So, well, I'm sure it's not going to be an insurmountable task to figure out how we keep it clean and orderly amongst the three businesses.
Mhm.
No, none of you guys want to have it dirty out in front of your shop, so.
Yeah, it's interesting. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, thank you. All right, any other in-person public? Yep. One more. Sorry, we'll get to you, Trinity.
Sorry, girl, she can go.
Oh, you're good.
Hi, Taylor Moore. I wanted to touch on, it is right in front of our business, even if the whole community space does happen with it wrapped all around, I can see the benefits of that. I do. Our store is Wellness Cafe, and we largely tend to a recovery crowd, NAAA, and we love the idea of being able to do sober nights in the future. We want to be able to have a space outside they can go to in the evening where there's no beer and wine allowed or served. That is a really big thing right now that I'm worried about. Moving on from that, that's my comment. Jason Shapiro, he wrote a email in. He wasn't able to be here. He did say that somebody was supposed to read it. I just wanted to make sure that it was going to be read publicly. What was that? Okay, it was given to, it's not being read publicly. Okay.
The public comments, we have them, they will be entered into the record as
Okay.
written. They just won't be read out
Okay,
loud.
he just wanted to make sure that it was recorded and everything.
Yep,
Thank
we'll
you.
make sure it is in the record. All right, any other in person? Caroline?
Hi, I'm Caroline from the Wrecking Crew Bakery and Cafe right here in town. Now, I've listened to everybody and everything, and I wanted to be last so that I could address a few things too. As far as the big common area is concerned, I don't mind the idea at all. I'm open to actually both ideas. But there proposes one problem with that idea, and that would be with the lead and him having the alcohol license. He has to be in eyesight of everything at all times. Now, if we extend it down and open it up to all of us, we are putting him in jeopardy with his ABC, which means there would be no alcohol out there because he cannot be in constant eye contact with people bringing in outside alcohol or possibly, yeah, that's just one thing I wanted to say about the whole. I'm open to both ideas. I actually like both ideas a lot, but the idea that was proposed to me after Caroline and Trinity talked about it by both Caroline and Trinity was that. And in fact, we walked down and looked at the areas while we were all outside the other day. And they both did express to me that there would be one parking space on each side of the planter and half of the parking space beyond that as a loading zone. And then the seating areas, which fall directly in front of Leeds building, both ends, and in front of my building, which my landlord is very open to and has no problem with it. So they would set directly in front of my business and Leeds business, the way the plan was expressed to us. And I'm perfectly fine with that. I'm really excited about the idea. I think it takes a lot of conflict out of the whole area. And I have been, since this was brought up, done a lot of research into how vital these sitting areas are for our communities. And we've talked about a lot of building community gathering events together, and we plan to utilize those sitting areas quite often. And we plan to, I had a whole thing wrote up that had to do with selling you guys on the idea of the sitting areas. And then it all initially fell into, we agree that, this is a good idea. But From my research, it says seating shapes welcoming cities as we have more freedom to choose where to be, where to invest, and where to live more than ever. It's places that allow us to be comfortable, to express ourselves, and take the opportunity to further shape them that are the most attractive. Seating is no exception to this tendency. We have seen it time and time again, that where there is seating, there is life. Now, seating areas draw in and can, they bring, let's see. I don't want to read this whole thing now. So I have to come to the most important parts. It says, especially in the warmer months when it's nice outside, an outdoor seating dining area can attract customers and is more inviting to tourists. Every single, and I read 3 different reports on these. I've researched into a bunch of research that was done on the outdoor sitting areas in different cities. Some are taking them down. Some are really embracing them since COVID-19, and they were all placed. And the ones that are embracing them are finding that it's boosted that their tourism and their economics by anywhere between 30 and 50%, and that 77% more people are attracted to areas that have outside seating. So there is so many benefits to having these areas that I am not against it at all. I think that we can work out something, somehow, some way to make sure we're all included in this and taken care of. And that's really all I have to say, but I really want to see this happen because I think it is vital to our town. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's getting kind of late, so
I will admit, I completely forgot about lead in the ABC while I scratched out those drawings super quick this afternoon. We could still do that one solid piece and remove the planter and put a fence in the middle of it with a gate and have signage on one side, no alcohol beyond this side. So we could still do the one big piece and just put another fence line down the middle. I can imagine that. I think that would work, and we just have a gate in between the two of them, and there still would be handicap ramps on both ends of that big piece. So we could, I think that I'd have to check with lead and the rules, but I think if we put that other fence in the middle of it and we'll just do a gate and the proper signage of, no alcohol behind this point, I think it would work.
That's a great idea. Right on the spot like that.
One more thing real quick. So it sounds like this is going to take a little bit longer. Just a tiny bit. And I love all of the ideas. I think, they're all very much worth discussion. But in the meantime, this atrocity is right in front of our store. And so it's really not cleaned up. And so, if there's any way that we can just kind of configure it or kind of slide it, or, it's movable. We attempted it earlier. But, just some kind
Safe
of,
property.
movement on it, because it's not like, I don't want to rush the design, I guess is what I'm saying. And for us and some things that we have up and coming, it would be really nice not to be looking at that in the meantime. I think everyone honestly needs a clean look at the entire project. And if that's just sitting in front of everyone, then it's not getting anywhere. You can't clear your mind and look at an art project and try to get it done. So that's all it's just a plea from us. So, yeah, but I love all the ideas. I love both of them, so it's just looking at it again. Thanks.
Could we maybe look at working with you on sprucing it up just a little bit? Because I don't think moving it's going to be in the cards for right now. So I'd like to maybe we could talk after the meeting, which should be over pretty quick, and we can take a little break between closed session. I can talk to you. We can see.
Absolutely.
All right, and see what options there are. All right, awesome.
Hey, my name is Zach Laferriere. I am a resident of Colfax, and I'm also an employee of the city of Grass Valley. Someone mentions Grass Valley and Nevada City and their open pavilion areas. I happen to work firsthand very closely at times with the Downtown Association for the City of Grass Valley, as well as many of the business owners. Something I want to just put on your guys' radar is business morale. When particular businesses are going to be, let's say, the pizza shop is tired of cleaning up spilt coffees, or the coffee shop is picking up pieces of pepperoni pizza, you're going to have conflict. And so I can tell you that in the city of Grass Valley, the business owners are responsible for their sidewalk, keeping that clean. You mentioned that all of the businesses should work together and keep the space clean. And I understand that, but I can tell you that Parks and City Works and Public Works, they are the ones every morning that are cleaning downtown Grass Valley on Mill Street, making sure that it is presentable. And I just want to put on your radar, there's going to be a lot of conflict between businesses, no matter who's coming in and out. In the short time I've lived here, I've seen a handful of businesses come and go in the downtown area. And it's hard to foresee how that space is going to be used, but the public space, if that's going to be the case, I think the city needs to take some more ownership in what that looks like. Thank you.
100%. Thank you very much for your comments. All right. Any other? Yes, sorry. Did Trinity come back or? Okay. She's still sitting there. Okay.
Yeah, Tracy
Making sure.
Dixon, hi.
I didn't see her up there.
I'm dying to know who owns that little parcel of space next to Illuminaries, that little lot.
Luminaries.
They do? Okay,
Yeah.
shoot. And then like, that's a great, yeah.
He actually, at great personal expense, just redid that whole sidewalk right there.
Yeah, no, all right. I was
And he would happily sell it to you.
He would. Yes. Thank you, Joe. Nope.
Connor, if we're switching to a discussion on taking that down, because they were roughly asking us about moving it or whatnot, can I be a part of that conversation? Because it has nothing to do with the rebuild.
Sure.
Thank you.
That's my educated legal opinion.
I'll take it. You are more educated and legal than I.
Please. That's what we're here for.
Why isn't?
Would be from the original design, I would imagine. Yeah, I'd go to Trinity.
That's the reason it was put back and away from luminaries, so it served the purpose of those two residents.
Yes, that's a good summation.
Initially.
Great.
Well, Connor, do you want to answer that based on the email exchange you and I had?
Yeah, I can. I don't know a lot about this project, but I can provide a little bit of clarity here. And I want to, I just want to clarify the conflict of interest as well for the public, so we're above board here. Caroline, in her capacity as president of Railroad Days, the nonprofit that is donating funds to this project, cannot vote on how the project will proceed in her capacity as council member. She has a financial conflict of interest, which is why we asked her to step down from the dais and not participate in any council decision on how this project will proceed. And that leads me to the second point. the conflict is important because this is a city project on city property, built with city funds using city staff. It's not always the case that these open spaces are built that way. Sometimes it's a project of the local businesses. But the council, given that it's a city project with city money using city staff, there are a number of ways this could proceed. The council could could move to approve a set of plans and give direction to the city manager to go build those plans. Or the council could take an action to reconfigure the space somehow. I don't know what that would look like. This is, I don't think anybody's planning this, but they could say, this is no longer a public street. This is going to be something else, and vacate the right of way, do that kind of thing. But basically the council, the council can decide what this project would look like, and that the form of that decision would be either a motion to approve a set of plans, a resolution to adopt a particular form of project. There would probably, and I don't want to speculate too much here, there would probably have to be a decision as to the environmental impacts. That's an important consideration. There would probably have to be an action to accept the gift from Railroad Days. But those are the steps that would need, and I'm rambling a little bit now, but those are some of the steps that would need to be taken to advance this.
That's music, I don't know, business, I have read Colfax, it's a thing that I'm gonna be able to follow as this project is worked on, or to see what it's gonna look like. Are we gonna have a voice to say like, yes, like this, or?
It really depends on how the council proceeds. So the city can only act as this body before you. And anytime the body decides to act, you will have notice that the body is considering a particular action. So it'll happen at a council meeting, and it'll be on an agenda.
So probably what you're looking for, other than the individual meetings that our committee are going on, Trinity and Caroline, you're looking for the ability for more public input for this, right? So if we get to a point where we have a general plan fleshed out, we could hold a workshop or another special council meeting or something like that, and just talk about this and open it up to the public so that everybody can get their input in it. We'll make sure that gets noticed and everybody has plenty of time to plan for it. Yeah, but we definitely want to make sure that everybody from the public gets all their input in, and we make this what everybody wants to see. So it's not just one-sided. And we'll keep working.
I'd like to say something if I may.
I got to get to Trinity. She's been very patient. Well, actually, she asked me this second anyway. So go ahead.
Okay, very quickly. The reason I asked for this to happen, to get on the agenda, is I feel like this should be a transparent way that's open to anybody, and that can happen in a council meeting. So I'm pleased that happened. I don't think that all the design should be done out of sight of the meeting. It seems like one of the things we could have done is establish a committee, a subcommittee of the council to do the design. Seems like we ended up doing it, and we couldn't change it without breaking the Brown Act. But and again, it's the right thing to postpone this, because we really don't have a design as far as I'm concerned, unless somebody puts a design up in front of me, like on that board. It didn't happen.
Trinity is going to do that right now.
Well, okay.
Yeah. Keep in mind, it's just a preliminary drawing, and she's doing it.
I get that.
She's doing it on the fly, but
I don't want to belabor the point. I don't want this to last any longer. We can do this in the next meeting.
yeah, well, as long as it takes. I mean, as long as we're having a good discussion about it, everybody gets in their opinions, and we find a amicable solution, we're good. All right, Trinity, it's finally your turn. Thank you for your patience. Go ahead.
She was working on one, yes.
Okay, can we do that? Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead.
She's been.
All right, we're gonna promote you to panelist and that way you can share your screen and do what you need to do. Yeah. She'll come right back.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yep, you're good.
Okay, give me one quick second here while I try to get my act together. I apologize again, you guys. I got called into a work situation that I was not expecting, and that did really hamper what I was trying to accomplish here by getting this on the agenda so soon. So I really apologize. It looks like I was made to a panelist. Does that mean I'm able to share my screen?
Yes.
Okay, I will attempt to figure that out while I'm speaking. So let's see here. So here we go. Okay. Disabled share, host disabled attendee screen sharing. Okay. Well, here's what I'll do. I texted an image to several of the folks in the room there. So Carolyn, Sean, Larry, Kim, and Ron all should have a really horribly done paint drawing. If you guys all want to see it, I'm sure they're capable of showing it to you because I'm participating as a member of the public right now. But what I want to show you guys or explain to you is my intention for my version of the proposal that I walked through with the public last week so that we could try to figure out a solution that worked better. And I'm gonna verbally walk through that right now. So currently, as you guys are aware, when we look at the planter that sticks out of the Main Street sidewalk and comes in towards the street, I'm going to call that the peninsula going forward. Right now, to the right-hand side of that peninsula, if you're facing the downtown businesses, we currently have fencing that goes around 3 parking spaces.
Trinity.
Yeah?
Sorry, yeah, they fixed it so you should be able to screen share.
Oh, okay. All right.
See if it works.
All right, can you guys see this? My horrible little drawing?
Yeah, that's an amazing drawing.
Yeah, thanks. So what we're looking at here and what I kind of want to show you guys is this here that we're looking at is the peninsula in the center. Again, horribly drawn, but the idea is that in order to have a safe area, we need to make sure that there's a certain amount of buffer between vehicles, people, and the ability to park. And that was always a big concern when it came to the fencing, was making sure we had adequate safety buffers. So what I'd suggested was from the current location, if you look at that peninsula, the fencing goes around from there down over 3 parking spots. So there is a bit of sidewalk after the 3rd parking spot that actually does stick out from the main strip of sidewalk. It sort of cuts over to a corner edge. And that's actually where we need to put the disability ramp. So the idea is that because of that bit that sticks out there after the 3rd parking spot, directly on the inside of that 3rd parking spot is the ideal location for that cement ramp that will be bolted in. That forces the fencing to be really, like we had talked about a 1/4 to 2/4, I should say about 1/2 to a 1/3 of the way through that parking space in order for us to accommodate that disability ramp. So what you end up seeing on the right-hand side of the peninsula for my design is 1 parking spot that is designated for loading, a open parking spot to the right of that is blocked off by a planter, and then you have a little bit of a 3rd parking spot that adjoins to that fencing that goes up to that disability ramp. Then on the left side, it mirrors that same design on the left, because again, we have the same sort of cutouts. It provides an opportunity for us to have additional parking right there on Main Street that is multi-use for the sake of one, we're able to accommodate people who are disabled without having to designate it as a disabled only parking. 2, it gives us the ability to use it for loading. 3, it gives us the ability to use this area for special event space and for special use permits. And one of the things that was taken into consideration during this discussion was the request from the flower shop to obtain a special use permit to bring out their flower cart and be able to put that out there on the frontage. They would like to be able to showcase their business out in the front and be able to meet clients in the outside in the sun where they'd like to, enjoy their leisure. So what this does essentially is it creates a mixed ability for us to use the space where each business is able to contribute both, from a maintenance perspective, but also from an enjoyability perspective where they bring their own flair to the area. So on the left-hand side, those 2.5 parking spaces that you're looking at with the disability ramp, that would be directly in front of the Wrecking Crew Bakery business. Just to the right of that fenced area would be directly in front of the current vacant building that used to be the Railhead Saloon. And then over to the right, on the right side of the peninsula, that would be directly in front of the Snapdragon and Blooming Mountain Flower Company. And then you move over again to the right, and we'd be looking at blocking off the 3 spaces for Leeds business that he currently has, but they're shifted down a bit. And so this is what my intention was when we walked out there. I thought that I did. Mind you, I have not seen Carolyn's drawing. This is my own fault and fruition due to the nature of my employment. So apologies again. I had hoped I'd have time to put together CAD drawings, but life had other plans. So this, just to make sure we've got some visual clarity on what it was I was proposing, and what I felt we had agreement from the businesses on, this is what we were looking at. So I think that this gives us a lot of opportunity while making things pretty simple. And it does give us, again, a lot of flexibility here because we're not overcommitting, and we do have the ability to, accommodate our 3rd of July event, our Railroad Days events, things like that, by not over dedicating the space. But then again, the other consideration backing up to what we talked about with Leeds business and the liquor permit, because he has an alcohol permit that needs ABC approval and does require us to have that bond on file. There is an insurance implication here. There is a licensing implication here. So what this does is it places his burden of responsibility directly in front of his business. And it does create some specific zones that make it very friendly for us to have accountability. And I do think that that is very important for us to have specified accountability for these areas. So when, for example, the flower shop, when they decide that they would like to move forward with obtaining a special use permit to, maybe put a couple cafe tables out or put out the flower cart, depending on, the configuration that day, in that yellow striped area, that gives a very clear parameter for the areas that they would be responsible for maintaining. And luckily it does align really directly with their business, because we do want to make sure that as people are driving by, everyone is able to make sure that the space that is in front of them reflects their business. I'm going to go back for one quick second to the sidewalk ordinance that we just went through, and the fact that these business owners, or I should say property owners adjacent to the sidewalks, they are responsible for the frontage from that perspective, and that it has been an ongoing painful experience. I know, as Sean mentioned, Joe Fatula personally had to go through a sidewalk remediation on his lot right there on the far right hand side of the Main Street strip. So, with all of that consideration in mind, I do think that this is going to be an adequate solution. I did feel we had buy-in from the businesses. So what I would hope that we can do as a council is at least authorize us to move forward with obtaining adequate materials. If you guys feel that this design fits what we're trying to accomplish, at least move forward with, obtaining materials so we don't have unnecessary delays in replacing the current rotted fencing with the netting. Because I do want to make sure that, we've pointed out, we do have Valentine's Day coming up. People would like to be able to, enjoy that Main Street strip. They want to be able to go purchase tokens of affection for their loved ones. And the businesses obviously want to put their best foot forward for the holidays. And I support that. We're coming into spring. So anything we can do to try to make this happen timely, I'm all about it. Obviously, future council meetings. I'll try to be there so I actually get some kind of a decision-making say, but I'll get off my soapbox now and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment on this item?
I did that you own a business. I did that you have a.
Can you come up to the mic so everybody can hear it?
Public can't hear you if you're not on the microphone.
No problem.
I. Take two. And so I get the perspective of, this is my business, this is my parking space that's been taking up. I want to not claim the area, but take pride in that section, right? But what about the rest of the businesses downtown, right? Like, so I guess my concern would be, how do you, I realize you have to break up the different responsibilities of who's going to clean it and what that looks like. And I do agree with the city stepping up a little bit and cleaning that up a little. But how do you make sure that that space is really used for everybody, I guess, in the design?
Well, it's a public space. It is going to be city property and open to the public. So no matter whose business we put it in front of, what we do to it, it will be open to the public, and no in particular business owner will have any say of who goes into that space or uses it for whatever purpose they want to use it for.
Cool.
So
right.
that'll take care of that, hopefully.
So that's not the way I understood the plan to begin with, but that's besides the point. I'm not sure, I'd have to go back and look, but think the way she's got it laid. Oh, my goodness. It's not like you guys can't hear me anyways. I'm so loud.
It's for the people online. Yeah.
Okay, so my concern is I'm not sure how because the way it was laid out to me, it seemed to line up perfectly in front of our building and not extend in front of the antique store. So I'm not sure how that's going to look on my side, because then it might directly encroach on in front of and I'm trying to see that avoided. So maybe it would work on your guys' side, but not necessarily on our side. So maybe we want to address that a little bit. You see what I mean? I'm not saying
I definitely
change it for one side, but maybe change it for the other side so it stays directly in front of me. And that way I'm not, we're not encroaching into the spaces next to us. And
there definitely needs to be more design discussion before we
Yeah.
do anything else on the
Yeah.
project, look for materials, anything like that.
Yeah,
So
but from what when I go out and visualize in front of there, I think it lined up with the one space and a half on my side. And then directly, like perfectly. So, that might work better on my side and that might work better on their side. Cause I don't know if I don't know. We'd have to look to see if that doesn't encroach into luminaires and in front of the pizza parlor. You guys would have to look into that. But I'm pretty sure that the way the one and the half space is how it all lined up. Just something you're going to have to look at and consider. So,
yep.
There's options there.
Yep. And we'll make sure all the business owners along that strip who are going to be directly affected get the majority of the say in how stuff's going to go, where it's going to go.
And how they're affected.
Because,
yes. I did have a conversation with Jason next door to me today that you were privy to, and he did have some concerns, but I think those with his business not being a foot traffic business, I don't think that affects him as much as he seems to think it does. And, yeah, I know he does, but he doesn't have the foot traffic we do. And he agreed to that when we talked. He did say that. So, it would work for them on that side. If it's, all the other business owners are privy to this, and I think it can work one way or another, but with a little adjustment, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I think this plan definitely needs some tweaking and
Yeah.
more input from the business owners and the public so we can get it right before we go and commit. So
Okay.
we'll definitely be bringing it back. So, okay. Trinity had another comment, another public comment.
I just wanted to, help the conversation along by giving you guys a visual of Main Street from Google Street View. So if you look at these two parking spots right here being allocated, where you've got a planter right here where this arrow is, you've got this one open for parking, and then you have the fence aligning right along the fence line here coming over. It stays directly in front of the wrecking crew business. It doesn't encroach. And then you have, again, over here, pushing these over a few spaces so that we can have those two spaces here with the mirroring design, and then allowing it to there. So again, you're looking at 1, 2, 3. I'm going to move down just a little further so you guys can see what that looks like. So you've got right here where this part sticks out of the sidewalk. This is where the disability ramp needs to go regardless. So you'd be putting the fence here, moving it over 1, 2, and then this third spot would also be blocked off. And based on the conversations that we've had to date, that was acceptable. Oh, geez, we just flipped into another decade. Okay.
Okay, so.
But I hope that helps. I hope that helps everybody kind of have a visual. I know it's difficult when you're not able to see the street while you're having this conversation, which is why we had to kind of walk downtown before.
Okay, Trinity, looking at your visual here.
Mhm.
We have, on my side, we have 1.5 spaces before the break ends to the green. So, so that would work on my side, 1.5 spaces, but on the other side, it looks like you have that room.
Right. And even if we were to border up right against here and then come around, it works quite well to stay directly in front. I know the angle is a little deceptive because it does make it appear as though it's coming over a bit further, but really the antique shop has these 2 spaces here that are perfectly dedicated. You got 2 here, then you'd have the 2 here, 2 here, etc., all the way down.
Trinity, the dining space right now is 3 parking spaces. So you actually have to figure it's going to be 5 parking spaces big, which goes all the way 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to where that next parked van is. It's that whole space. So it's in front of all the antique store as well, because you got to count 5 spaces. That's if we're doing 1.5 space loading and 3 on the dining.
Right. So just to be clear, we can actually take this over to here and bring this over a little bit more in this direction so that it lines. That 2 spaces is pretty significant. So unless, I guess I would just ask Carolyn, do you feel like you need 3 full spaces, or are you happy with 2 spaces?
Well, I thought they were supposed to mirror each other, and I was hoping that, with the community events that we want to hold, we want to utilize those areas. So yeah, I do think bigger space would be more efficient for both sides. Because
So I think really where the conversation needs to be elaborated on at the next meeting, if I were to ask, would be, let's really focus on how we can improve this side, because this is the side that kind of needs some work. The other side, though, it's pretty easy to accommodate, especially since we already have a designated spot for the disability ramp that's required to stay inside the fencing.
yeah, I'm not arguing the other side at all.
Yeah.
That's perfectly, I think that lines up. I don't know for a fact, but I think the 1.5 spaces between was the original discussion I heard from you and Caroline when we walked it off today. I was under the understanding that it would be the 1.5 spaces, and that aligns up perfectly with my building. And then then to come, down half that last one so that we're not encroaching into the antique store. But I was under the impression when you asked me how many seats I would like to see out there. I said, well, how big of a space do I get? And she said, that's up to you. Said that was up to you.
Yes.
And then I was told this is supposed to mirror each side and, you know,
Just the parking.
yeah.
Yeah, just the parking. So, and I think, just to kind of make Sean's life easier, because I know I'm obviously making this hard on him right now to try to run a smooth meeting. I'm not helping. So what I would probably ask the council to consider is when we put this on the next meeting agenda, can we agendize it as a workshop rather than a council business item? And then we can include an action item following that to come out of the workshop so that we can have a more collaborative, open discussion, kind of like we're having right now, even though we're kind of supposed to get ourselves reined in. Because I'd like to be able to have this back and forth like we're having, and I think this is really helpful.
Yeah, it's going great. And I have clarified with council that we did put this on as a discussion item, so we're still within the bounds of what the agenda item is. We're good.
Well, beautiful. Thank you for putting up with me.
I'm good with that because I think we need to actually, whoever can get down there and really walk this off and take a good look at it. Just
Yeah.
to get an eye on it directly because I'm under one impression and
Yeah.
Well, I would say what we need to do is schedule a open meeting with all of us while we stand there with the tape measures and do it. So I just need to make sure that I can get the commitment from all the business owners on that stretch to come and do that. So we will get that done rapidly. And yes, I would request that we put it on, as Trinity suggested, if we can, for that last meeting in February, because I know you're gone, Sean, in the beginning as a workshop. And we'll do this long before then. Does that work for you guys?
And just really quickly, I just want to ask, again, we're all looking at it together here on the screen. We all have a nice visual of how incredibly ugly this really is, even on a good day. I mean, this isn't even like super dirty, but this doesn't look good. So council, if we're able to establish that there's not a lot of debate on this side, can we try to take some action towards getting this cleaned up in a timely fashion in February and then worry about this side separately? Are you open to that? I mean, I would just say that maybe we explore all options so that, again, I think we have a very reasonable request in front of the council from the business owners on Main Street to try to, again, make this space nice before the next holiday hits.
Yes, we can provide some direction to city staff to see if we can do a little bit of cleanup and beautification of the seating area. And I'll also work with the business owner to discuss what they would like to see as part of the beautification. But it's not, I don't think at this time it's going to go anywhere. So we'll see what we can do to help appease some of the concerns at the very least.
Okay, I appreciate that. My suggestion to council at this time would be to move forward with purchasing the appropriate fencing for at least 3 parking spaces worth of space. If you guys are willing to consider that so that we can get that ordered and have that on the way. Because that would give us the ability to at least take down the fencing that's there and replace it with something not so trashy, just to put it very realistically. I digress.
All right. Is there any other public comment? No, we good on this item for now? All right. Excellent. I'm closing public comment on this item then. If there's nobody else online, no? Good. Perfect. All right. And open it up to council for any other final comments before we defer the item. Sounds like.
I mean, I just have a couple. Probably in a meeting like this is not a time to do a design.
Nope.
There's an old expression called a camel is a horse designed by a committee.
Yeah.
Anyway, we have a committee assigned, but a small committee and a working committee to do this design, and that should go right. And we already have 2. So
that is why we do a public workshop, and then everybody can sit down and talk about it.
Yes.
So
yes. That's what I wanted.
That's going to be my proposal, is that we defer this item until we can have a public workshop, get everybody involved and publicly notice it. That way all of council can have a discussion.
And
really put
something
it-
visual
Yes.
put in front of us that we can all understand, which we don't have. And I just would make another comment to those on the committee. With the extra funds, excuse me, I think the game changed a bit. And I don't have a good idea of what things cost. But it seems to me we could just extend the curb and eliminate the need for ADA ramps. And I'm just wondering if that's even been considered. I think it's worth considering because it might be more lasting. And I heard several times as Trinity was talking and demonstrating that the design was very much limited by the planters and the triangles that stuck out and everything like that. And, you know, theoretically, all that could go away. We just extend the sidewalk.
Yeah, the material cost to extend the concrete in just the area that sits there now is 20,000 plus, just for materials. That's not labor, that's not having anybody do it, that's the material cost.
That answers my question. That's too much. Yeah.
Kim, you got anything to add to the discussion? Think we hit it all? All right, great. I'm gonna ask that we defer the item if everybody's good with that. No, Trady wanted us to vote on, or was asking that we vote on fencing now, but I think we need a better design and more public input. And probably maybe we could get a workshop scheduled. Let's see if we can get a workshop next week. Does that work for? Yeah, and getting busy. We're working on it. Maybe 2 weeks.
Trinity, I'm assuming you want to, I mean, you want to just a regular council time, but are you talking next Wednesday at 6? What are you?
Like
Because
I would
I'm
think,
open. I will clear my schedule. I would like to have a special meeting next week for a workshop.
okay, what do you want to cover? Because we can throw ideas all out there, but we need to know numbers. So.
Yep.
I mean,
I think we have enough time between now and next week to gather numbers. And so my request would be that next Wednesday, if that works, or another day next week, we please schedule a special meeting and have a workshop with decisions regarding finalizing what needs to be ordered.
well, I would like to have a meeting just with the business owners down there first to get them all on the same page. And then be able to bring that design to the council to be able to have that, to finalize it from there. But I think.
So at this juncture, I'm just gonna say as a council member, my input on that would be, I should say as a public comment member, as public comment.
yeah, you can't comment as a council member right now. Public.
Okay, I will send an email to the mayor later regarding council requests. My only thing right now is just if we could just consider.
We gotta
Thank
stop.
you.
I'm sorry, Trinity. We're gonna get in trouble.
Yeah, I have
Okay.
one more brief comment, and that is that one of the key design criteria is that this is public space. It's not our space and their space. Sorry. It's not our space and their space. It's public space. And as much as I hate to see it, businesses change. And I would hope that that doesn't ever happen again. But right now we have a zoning that'll allow anybody to come in and do anything they want. And we're a little exposed. That's all
Oh, that's right. Yeah. But yeah,
So-
I will commit to doing a meeting with the owners. I'm sorry, Carla. I apologize.
Caroline,
I'm good.
public comment is closed.
So we're gonna leave it. And, okay, direction to staff is to set up, we're gonna pull this item, we're gonna set up a workshop sometime in the next 30 days. That way, we got time to look at stuff. Everybody has time to meet with the business owners and start getting a plan together. Staff is also directed to continue to work with the business owners to come up with a design that can be brought to the workshop. And then that workshop can be brought to the next council agenda. The outcome of that workshop can be brought to the council for discussion after that. Is that close enough?
That's close enough.
All right.
Are we going to close this agenda item?
Yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and close this agenda item. Thank you all for showing up tonight. That was a great discussion. I loved it. That's awesome. We went got a little wild there, but I think it needed to happen, so. Especially having a council member gone who's fully invested in this, so I'm glad we were able to have that discussion and hopefully it all comes out good. All right. Yeah, so that was all our council business now, so we can go ahead and move on to go to the order. Kim, do you have anything for go to the order? Excellent, thank you. Larry?
No, not tonight.
Caroline?
Connor, you did very well for your first meeting of really having to try to keep us under wraps.
Thank you. I appreciate the feedback.
Yeah, get used to more of that with me sitting here.
All right. I'll brush up on my parliamentary.
Thank you.
That was Connor's.
Nothing, no, I have nothing for go to the order. Ron, nothing. Okay, any public comment on anything we just brought up and go to the order? No, nothing. Okay, perfect. Okay, we have a closed session item tonight, so we're going to take a. Sorry, you got a public comment on go to the order, Trinity? Go ahead.
You guys didn't mention anything during go to the order. I was just making a public point of order regarding the next meeting, and any meetings regarding this item need to be publicly noticed to be within the city's purview. So any meetings that happen with outside organizations would be completely separate and irrelevant to our workshop.
Yep. Okay, thank you. All right, so we're gonna take a 5-minute recess and then we'll go ahead and move into closed session. Before we open the closed session, we'll take public comment on that.
If not,
then
you don't have to call.
Yep,
but
you don't have to stay.
here.
Have a great night.
I'm not.
Come on, Larry. Let's do this. Sorry to interrupt your conversation. Okay, we're gonna resume our meeting, yeah, unadjourn our meeting, unbreak it, yeah, whatever.
Are we on
and
TV?
we're gonna move to,
We are on TV.
or yes, for just a few more minutes, or a few
Okay.
more seconds while I close this out. Move on to closed session now. Are there any members of the public that would like to make a comment on our closed session item? Anybody online?
Okay.
No comments? All right, since we have no public comment, I will close the public comment. And if everybody on council is good with it, we will adjourn the closed session.
Okay.
All right. Yep.
Okay.
Minute. Take it out. Take it down.